the other policemen, the vast majority of policemen who do the job properly and who they get tarred with the same brush. I mean, there's nothing worse. I remember nothing worse than you'd see something happening in the prison service where there had been some sort of skullduggery going on in some segregation unit at a prison somewhere where it hadn't been oversight, it hadn't been managed properly or whatever. And you'd read it, the news would break, and you'd see it in the papers and everything. The shame that I used to feel, because I would have to go down to the pub that night and answer questions about,
other people's actions, yeah.
Other people's actions. The ordinary police officer in America must be feeling that now. And the interesting thing as well is that if you notice how many black police officers in America are engaged in doing exactly the same thing. You look at some of those baton charts, not all white officers.
And that is where it suddenly becomes a very taboo, very touchy thing to talk about, but feeds much more into the idea that what we're dealing with is systematic incompetence within a police force rather than any more malicious force. And as I say, if what we're looking at is an issue where we need police reform because there's just too many helpless, untrained, I've got to clarify, not every single issue of police brutality is that. Some of it does come from just bad people. Nobody's denying that.
But you've got to look at your recruitment procedures. We did. I can only speak from my experience in the prison service. When I joined, we used to have a lot of ex-military. A lot of them would retire from the army, join the prison service, and that's where we got the majority of our. We very quickly realised that although some of them were very, very good, made very good officers, a lot of them didn't because they couldn't think for themselves. They couldn't think on their feet. You told them what to do, and they could do it. But I always give an example, a little sort of silly thing. I remember once telling an officer to take 12 prisoners to the bathhouse for their bath. 20 minutes later, I said to somebody, "Where's so-and-so gone?" "Don't know, haven't seen him." Eventually, he came back about an hour later. And I said, "Where have you been?" He said, "Well, over the bathhouse." I said, "Well, why didn't you come back?" He said, "You didn't tell me to come back." Now, that's laughable. But that's what it was. So I feel very proud of helping the cultural change in the prison service. We changed the culture completely. Unfortunately, that's been destroyed with recent sort of political interference. But we gradually recruited less military and we ended up recruiting for a period people who had to get a degree to get into the prison service. That brought other problems as well, where because a lot of people may have letters after the name, but they haven't got an ounce of common sense.
Yes.
So we found a happy medium in the middle, but we got people who were willing to be trained, who we trained well, and we paid well. Unfortunately, what's happened since 2010 is the government, in their wisdom, decided to cut the pay scales for staff joining. Now you have, I had to go through a series of interviews and exams and what have you get in. Nowadays it's all done online. It can be your next door neighbor who does it for you, answers it for you. And the level, the quality of the applicant we're getting has dropped dramatically. London is having major, major problems recruiting people because they're not paying them enough. And you're getting, it's the old saying, and it is true, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. And that is happening again in the prison service, where you get, and it's exactly the same as American prison service, not well paid, wrong type of person joining for the wrong reason, difficult to train. And you can see that in the American police system. Whereas the British police system, completely different. You get the odd hothead and bad officer.
Of course, as you do in any organisation ever.
Some of the things, I had a debate with a guy I was playing golf with the other day, and he was talking about that latest shooting in America where the drunk guy grabbed the taser off the officer. And he was saying, well, he deserved to. I said, look, come into Beverly on a Saturday night, whenever the pubs are getting out, and that goes on every Saturday night. That sort of behaviour.
Yeah.
We don't shoot people dead, every bloody market town in Britain because they're punching police officers and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw in that is if you can see the full video where they go up and make the arrest and then the guy sucker punches them, is what you see is two police officers just completely overpowered by one drunken man. And you know, if they have any ounce of even martial arts training, they should be doing better than that.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes for the gun, and I'm not saying the guy should have died. I'm not saying deadly force should have been used, but what it should
they were clearly
up to that point because he should
clearly
have been,
in the wrong.
Yeah, he should have been easily subdued by the two.
Could he have paid back with his life? No, of course not.
It's not, yeah.
Because he wasn't putting the life of the officers in danger. The thing, I mean, there's a culture, the culture of American policing just needs change completely. And I just, when I watch and see what I see happening over there, I just think that's a very poorly trained and poorly led police system.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I think that I'm struggling with is that I'm seeing a complete lack of empathy towards officers in these sorts of scenarios. And I don't mean we should, you know, empathy is in, people need to actually go, what's going through the officer's head at this given point? I mean, it's not the same, but in my experience of